Hi, I'm Matt Baldwin, Regional Editor for Hagadone Media, Montana. First off, a huge thank you for tuning into our podcast over the past year. Your support means the world to us, and it's inspired us to dive deeper into the world of podcasts. We've got some exciting updates to share with you. You might notice a fresh look and feel to our podcast lineup. We've revamped things a bit, breaking our shows into 4 distinct podcasts to make your listening experience even better. First up, Interlake News Now is simply News Now. Here you'll get Taylor's headlines, Melissa's local events, and all the timely news updates you need. Sports Now is now Keeping Score, where you can stay up to speed on local prep sports. Then there's Deep Dive. This podcast is all about exploring the stories of local people, businesses, and ideas. And if you missed last summer's Maritime Mystery series, don't worry, it's now the first season of Deep Dive. And of course, our monthly concert series, Press Play, now has its own podcast. Get ready for exclusive interviews with local musicians and all things Press Play. You can find links to all these new podcasts listed in the description of this episode, or simply search for Daily Interlake wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, thank you for your incredible support. If you enjoy what you hear, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review.
You look like kind of a standing audience, right? So, beautiful drive this morning from Conrad, got to Browning, and the sun was just coming up, and beautiful pink, orange sunrise, and of course, snow had just fallen on the Rocky Mountains. It's what I love about the East Slope. It's just a beautiful picture every morning. So, of course, the mountains were pink this morning, and it was a wonderful sight, a little fresh snow over the pass, and but that's what I love about Montana. Yeah, seasons are changing. It's one of my favorite times of the year. At least at home, things have slowed down a little bit, and kind of gives us a chance to catch up on all the little projects. So that's what I've been doing: a little fencing and a little mechanicking. And boy, I love this vibe here at this venue. The smell of ink, yeah, it does something to me. I'm a prolific reader, so maybe that's what the smell of ink inspires me. All right. Goodbye, old plane. I'm a leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old plane. I'm a leaving Cheyenne. I'm a leaving Cheyenne, and I'm going to Montana, Kalispell. Goodbye, old paint. I'm a leaving Cheyenne. Old Paint's a good pony. He paces when he can. Goodbye, my little Donny. I'm a leaving Cheyenne. My foot's in the stirrup. The bridle's in my hand. Good morning, young ladies. My horses won't stand. Goodbye, old paint. I'm a leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old paint. I'm a leaving Cheyenne. I'm leaving Cheyenne, and I'm going to Montana via DePuyter. Goodbye, old paint. I'm a leaving Cheyenne. Well, the last time I saw her was late in the fall. I was riding old paint. I was leading old Well, we laid out our blankets on the green and grassy ground. The horses and the cattle were grazing all around. Goodbye, old paint, I'm a leaving Cheyenne. Goodbye, old paint, I'm a leaving Cheyenne. I'm a leaving Cheyenne and I'm going to Montana. Goodbye, old paint, I'm a leaving Cheyenne. Thank you. I usually don't sing this early in the morning. As a musician, 11 o'clock we wake up and finish our coffee just about now. Actually, I'm going to do a little yodeling for you right now. Take a chance on it. My modus operandi is usually get the crowd into it. Nice, easy song to start out with, and then try to, at some point during the set, whip you into a wild frenzy. We're going to do that right now. So, right at the crack of noon here. But I love Montana history. Born and raised in Conrad, and like I say, I like to read. I love to read the history of Montana, from the cattle that came up from Texas in the mid to late 1800s, the Upper Missouri trapper history, the beaver, and the Native American history, James Willard Schultz. So anyway, there's so much wonderful history here in our beautiful state. But this is a song that I wrote about the Hoop Up Trail, old whiskey running trail that ran from Fort Benton. So Civil War era, they would bring the paddle boats up from St. Louis. They'd load them with goods and come all the way up as far as they could up the Missouri, and Fort Benton was as far as they could go right before the Great Falls. And that's where the trail started. Mullen Trail went to Walla Walla. The trail that went north was the Hoop Up Trail, which went to Fort Hoop Up, which is just out of Lethbridge. And they called it Fort Hoop Up, of course, because they ran a lot of whiskey up that trail. And depending on the era, some of it came down during the Prohibition. Whiskey came down that trail. So, but this is called the Hoop Up Trail. Riding, roping, loping, laughing out on the Hoop Up Trail. When the day is done, we'll have our fun, telling tall ones and singing old songs. Cinch up your cack, boy, screw her down tight. The Hoop Up Trail is a rocky ride over prickly pear and muddy gumbo. We'll upon up north and away we go. Riding, roping, loping, laughing out on the Hoop Up Trail. When the day is done, we'll have our fun, telling tall ones and singing old songs and yodeling. Gus is a hand who rides for the brand. He slips his noose on a salty cayuse. The morning is brisk, he's feeling risky. With the touch of his spur, he soars like a bird. Riding, roping, loping, laughing out on the Hoop Up Trail. When the day is done, we'll have our fun, telling tall ones and singing old songs. Thank you. A yodeler-friendly audience, that's always a good sign. I don't know about you, but I feel better after that. So it was a long ride from Conrad this morning. Well, we've been around, my band, Wylie in the Wild West, has been around for the last 3 decades, a little bit more now. I guess we started in 1989. And anyway, 1989, we were down. I lived down in Los Angeles at the time, and I moved down to LA because there was so much cool country music, like Dwight Yoakam was going on down there, and let me see, there was a lot of cool music going on down there, and a history that was kind of anti-Nashville, which I've always kind of been a little bit. So I moved down there, and there was a club called the Palomino Club, which was in North Hollywood, and that's, if you were one of the national country bands touring through LA, that's where you would have played. Merle Haggard, Buck Owens, and then a lot of the Nashville artists that were coming through LA at the time were playing at the Palomino Club. So on Tuesday nights, when I was down there in 89, 90, they had Ronnie Mac's Barn Dance, which was a Tuesday night event, and if you played original country music, you could go down there and do your stuff, and everybody kind of expected original music, so that was kind of cool. And eventually, we got seen down there by a management company and some video guys, and got a record deal, made some videos, actually, the video guys that I met, I said, why don't you come up to Montana? My family has a ranch up on the Two Medicine River. I had just gotten a credit card with a $7,000 limit. So this is 89. That was a lot of money for me back then, a young guy in my 20s, and so I said, I got a new credit card, $7,000 limit, let's take a crew up and shoot some videos up on the Two Medicine River, and we did, and of course they were beautiful because it was springtime, and there was a little snow on the ground, and we did a lot of shots of me riding horses out on the Two Medicine Ridge there, and it just turned out to be some spectacular scenery, and they were professional guys. And then we sent those videos to Country Music Television, who at the time, they were playing 24 hours a day music videos. Now it's mostly movies and stuff, but there was also the Nashville Network, and they were doing 12 hours a day of music videos, so they needed videos, so we sent them. And then our videos started getting requested, and that's kind of how we took off. And within a year, we got an invitation to play for the National Finals Rodeo. It's a 10-day run, December, and we were opening for the great Merle Haggard. Yeah, you know, we had videos on CMT, and here we were opening for Merle Haggard, who was, of course, our hero, being a West Coast country band. And they always warn you about meeting your heroes. You know, you're going to be let down. But Merle was kind of the opposite. He was just a gentleman and nice guy, and we got to hang out with him 10 days. And he was, and his band, they were great. And by the end of the 10-day run, he said, you know, why don't you guys come up and record your next album at my new studio? He just built a studio in Redding, California at his ranch. He said, I have a great engineer, and that sounded really good to us, so we went up there and recorded, and then he hung out with us in the studio, and we did some songs in, and I'm going to do the first video off of that album, but it was a great memory hanging out with Merle Haggard, and he sang with us in the studio. One of the songs we did was a duet with him, but we're going to do a song called Hey Maria. He don't love you the way I do. Patiently I wait for you. There ain't nothing I wouldn't do. Trade the moon and all the stars for one moment in your arms. Hey, hey, Maria, he don't love you the way I do. Hey, hey, Maria, I'm the only one for you. Patiently I wait for you. There ain't nothing I wouldn't do. Trade the moon and all the stars for one moment in your arms. Hey, hey, Maria, he don't love you the way I do. Hey, hey, Maria, I'm the only one for you. I'm the only one. I'm the only one. I'm the only one for you. All right. Thank you. Yeah. This is kind of a fun show. When I said, well, what's the format? What do you want me to do? They said, do all original music. We want to showcase songwriters. So I said, that sounds good to me. So all the songs, with the exception of the first song, will be all my own songs here. It's kind of my songwriting took a little bit of a windy road, so that was 1993 we wrote that. We were trying to impress Nashville, and that video did really well on CMT and TNN. But then about 1997, I went to, 95 maybe, went to Elko, Nevada for the National Cowboy Gathering. Anybody ever been to that? Wonderful. It's a wonderful, the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering. So there's poetry, and I thought, well, I don't know about poetry, but I'm going to go see if I can listen to some good music. I was raised on cowboy music. My dad, Rib, would sit in the family living room and do weird old cowboy songs. I fell in love with them. But to me, those cowboy songs, they were ballads. They would tell a story, and I just appreciated that. But I found, once I went to Elko, there was an audience that wanted to hear cowboy music. And so I started writing more and more cowboy songs. I always did at least a couple cowboy songs on the early albums. But then about 1997, 98, I started writing more cowboy songs. So, I'm going to do a song right now. When I write music, listening to country music radio today, sometimes it just doesn't sound like country music. That has very little to do. It reflects very little of our culture, our farming and ranching culture. Which is so important to me. So I thought, okay, if I'm going to write songs, I'm going to write songs that accurately reflect our culture and what we do out here in the middle of America. And because growing up, I could hear country music. You heard Johnny Cash sing 5 Feet High and Rising. That was obviously a country song. Only country people probably appreciate that song as much as anybody else. But so when I write music, I'm going to write music that reflects our culture. So this is a song called 200 Tons to Go. Now, when I was growing up, bucking bales was just part of growing up. When we were about 12 or 13 years old, we were expected to kind of keep up with the men. And it was a kind of a rite of passage into manhood, see if you could hang with the men all day. And that's what we did in the summertime, buck bales. And we had a field that was 400 acres, and it was all wild grass hay. So that's what we did all summer. Not only did we have to pick bales all summer, we had to turn around and feed them all winter. First storm would roll in about now, or sometime in November, and we start feeding hay. So we loved April because it meant we didn't have to look at another stinking hay bale for at least 2 or 3 months, you know. So I wrote a song about that experience, I guess, called 200 Tons to Go. You got your mule skin apron hanging down, chasing that wagon round and round. We got the hooks in our hands and our feet on the ground. There's only 200 tons to go, 200 tons to go. Well, 60 pounds apiece don't seem so bad, but pick a few thousand and you'll be glad. Glad when the day is done, hey, don't be so sad. There's only 200 tons to go, 200 tons to go. Watch out. Hey, hey, stack 'em right, keep 'em square and pack 'em tight. When April comes around, you're gonna see the light. There's only 200 tons to go, 200 tons to go. Here I go. This is a song about a verse about the neighbor. This is the neighbor that had all the brand new equipment. He had a brand new pickup, brand new tractor, but what really got our goat was that brand new shiny red New Holland stackliner bale wagon. He could pick hay all day in air-conditioned comfort. He'd wave at us across the fence line. Well, the neighbor's been using his fancy machine. He picks 'em up slick, he stacks 'em up clean. Well, he's getting fat and we're staying lean. 200 tons to go, 200 tons to go. Watch out! Hey, hey, stack 'em right, keep 'em square and pack 'em tight. When April comes around, you're gonna see the light. 200 tons to go, 200 tons to go, 200 tons to go, 200 tons now. Thank you. Thank you. So it's kind of a treat. I get to bring my dad's old guitar. This is his Martin, and I think Mom bought it for him in 1970 for a Christmas present. And it sat in the closet. You know, after sitting around the house for years and years, kind of sometimes they get a little, the neck warps a little bit. And so a couple of years ago, I sent it to Luthier in Belgrade, Montana. He works on all the Martin guitars and the Gibson guitars in that area, and he sent it back to me, and it's just plays wonderfully, you know. So I don't know why I let it sit in the closet all those years. So I'm happy to have it today. But Dad would he'd love to sing songs to us, and usually on the weekends of course we had to watch the Lawrence Welk show first. That was important, but after the Lawrence Welk show, he'd get out this old guitar and start singing to us. And there was 4 brothers and our sister. We'd all take turns dancing with our sister Chris, who happens to be your lieutenant governor, by the way. So, yep. So anyway, that's what I guess got me into music early on, was listening to my dad. And then he liked to do cowboy songs, and I'm going to do, and he always, the other thing he did was poetry. He knew all the Robert Service poems, at least a couple of them. He told me that when they were growing up, poetry was part of their English lessons in school. Every kid knew how to recite at least a couple poems, and he remembered a lot of the poems, and he would recite them to us, and I thought that was cool too. And they were, wonderful, wonderful poems. The Dangerous Dan McGrew, things like that, But that's one of the other things that kind of got me into music, that was cowboy and western and raw and wild. But when I started reading poetry, and one of my favorite poets is Badger Clark, who was a cowboy poet who lived 100 years ago. And he lived in South Dakota in the Black Hills, the beautiful Black Hills area. And he was a bachelor, but he wrote this beautiful love poem called To Her. And I heard this down in Elko when I went down there one year and researched it. Nobody had ever put that beautiful poem to music, so we took a run at it, and we get a lot of requests for this song. It's called To Her. Cut loose 100 rivers roaring across my trail, swift as lightning quivers, loud as a mountain gale. I build me a boat of slivers, I weave me a sail of fur. Ducks may founder and die, but I cross that river to her. Bunch the deserts together, hang 3 suns in the vault, scorch the lizards to leather, strangle the springs with salt. I harrow the badlands level, I dig my wells with a spur. Snakes may famish and fry, but I go that desert to her. Murder my sleep with revel, make me ride through the bogs, knee to knee with the devil, just ahead of the dogs. I harrow the badlands level, I teach the tigers to purr. Saints may wallow and lie, but I cross that river to her. Saints may wallow and lie, but I go clean-hearted to her, to her. Badger Clark. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to do another old poem, another poem that's about 100 years old. This poem was written by Will Ogilvie. He was an Australian, originally immigrated from Scotland to Australia, and in World War I, Australians took their good ranch horses over to Europe to fight for the cavalry, and it was There's a partnership you get with a horse where if you get to bring your own horse to battle, it's going to go a little bit better. The sad part of the story was when they came home, the vet said, no, horses got to stay in Europe. We don't want to bring the disease to Australia. So they had to leave all their good horses behind. And I think that was the impetus behind this beautiful set of words. Another beautiful poem that I thought, I wonder if anybody ever wrote a song behind these beautiful words, and I couldn't find it. So this one's called The Hooves of the Horses. Oh, the hooves of the horses, witching and sweet, is the music earth steals from iron-shod feet. No whisper of lover, no trilling of bird can stir me as hooves of the horses have stirred. They drown disappointment, they trample despair. Down looms empty the challenge of care. On the wings of the morning they gather and fly, horses of memory loafing on by. There was a second verse to that, but it's too early in the morning for me to remember. If you want the full song, you can go to iTunes or Amazon and download the digital version of the song. So, all right. Let me see. So my dad, he was one of the first veterinarians up in northern Montana, in the Conrad area. Went to vet school on the GI Bill. He was a naval pilot in World War II. Didn't see any action because the war ended right when he was getting ready to fly over to Japan. But one of the good things that came out of his service was the GI Bill. And he came from a pretty poor family down in Rapelje. They didn't have much money. In fact, his dad passed away when he was 8 years old from Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which was pretty common back then. And so he was pretty much raised by his mom and his uncles and older brothers. He was the youngest of 8 kids, but he finished vet school in Colorado and came up to Montana in the early 50s and was the very first vet up in that part of the world. And he had a pretty big range, from the Canadian border down to just north of Great Falls. The eastern slope was kind of his western edge, and then he went all the way to Havre and down from there. So he had a huge range, but went all over the place, and it was great being raised with a veterinarian or ranch vet. Now these were the days before you see modern vets. They have the nice pickup with the fiberglass box. He didn't have that back then, and he didn't like pickups, but he loved Chevy Impalas. They had a big, huge trunk. He could fit all his calf pulling equipment and medicine back in these huge trunks, And then he'd get, he would customize them a little bit. He'd put bigger wheels on them. Instead of 16-inch wheels, he'd put 18-inch wheels. And his mechanic would jack them up so he could run them across the prairie and not have to worry about rocks wiping out the oil pan. And then for us kids, it was great because we had 4 brothers and a sister, and every once in a while he'd take one of us out of school. Like once a week, one of us brothers would get to go out of school, and we would drive, starting at 12 years old, because it was mostly dirt roads and stuff. You know, he'd get us onto the dirt road and put a medicine box under us so I could see over the dash. But that's how we grew up. And then once we got to the field, of course, back then, a lot of the ranchers didn't have the big fancy corrals and fancy hydraulic chutes and whatnot. A lot of ranchers didn't have any containment facilities at all. In fact, one of my dad's golden rules of being a good vet was, 90% containing the animal, the other 10% was medical knowledge, you know. So first thing you had to do was get a hold of the cow, get her down, and either do the cesarean section or prolapse, whatever you were doing. But a lot of it was just out in the middle of the prairie. And he was quite a cowboy, so he had horses. If they were close, he'd bring his horse trailer, but sometimes last minute we just had to jump in the car. So the car became his horse. He would sit out on the hood of his fender of his Chevy Impala, and he would say, just, you drive, this cow's going to run really fast at first, don't speed up, just, it might take us 15 minutes to get close enough to her, but eventually we'll get close to her, I'll throw a rope over and dally up to the bumper. This was Montana vet medicine back in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s. And so anyway, I was really impressed with my dad because I never saw him not catch a cow, not contain the cow. So, and his other maxim was, you can either be, for vet work, like doing a C-section or prolapse, you can either be, let me see, what did he say? You can either be good or fast. He said he was fast, So if you could get in there and get it done quick, there'd be less of a chance for dirt and germs and stuff to get in the C-section. So that he was quick. He could do a C-section in about 10 minutes. It was amazing. So we got to watch all that stuff. And then one of my favorite things was Wednesdays, Shelby Stockyards. They had their cow sale, and he was the stockyard vet, and he'd, again, bring one of his kids to help push cattle through the chute and whatnot. But what I liked was, after all the work was done, listening to all the cowboys talk. They had a different language, and it's where I kind of learned a lot of cowboy language that if you're a rancher or a cowman, you kind of know what they're talking about. But sometimes if you've never been around these guys, you don't know what the heck they're talking about. So I wrote a song called Cowboy Vernacular. It's all hackamores and hondos, hula hands and latigos, half-breeds, oxbows, eagle beaks and monkey nose, hoof rot, fetlocks, cockleburs and bad hawks. What's with all this wacky talk, cowboy vernacular? You got your broomtail caballos, ring bones, Roman nose, woolly chinks and war bags, trichomoniasis ear tags, bangs, vacs, bad wrecks, baldies, and rednecks. What's with all this wacky talk, cowboy vernacular? It's a Western convolution, proper elocution, an atrocious aberration of a common conversation. Better learn the lingo before you hit the rodeo. Well, it's thumbs up on the dally hand. Don't need no four-finger tally, man. You put your speed on top, cow on bottom. Slip the leg, I could have shot him. Well, it's a rap and tap, lap and slap, nod and go. Holy crap, what's with all this wacky talk, cowboy vernacular? Well, hip lock, leg back, pull it with a gunny sack, hop bum, calf on a hind tit, That's a load of horse. Shake your loop and let her fly, miss your dally, wave goodbye. What's with all this wacky talk, cowboy vernacular? Shape your loop and let her fly, miss your dally, wave goodbye. What's with all this wacky talk, cowboy vernacular? All right. Thank you. All right. So I told you a little bit about our early years. You know, there was a time in the early 90s after we got our record deal. I got a management company out of Nashville. They were the same company that managed Loretta Lynn and Riders in the Sky, two of my favorite bands. And so I was happy to be with that manager, and he got us signed to Rounder Records, which was good for us. You know, before Rounder signed us, we wanted to get on one of the Nashville labels, and he shopped us to every major label. I think there were 7 major labels back when we were shopping, and every one of us turned us down. Every one of those labels turned us down. We were too country or too cowboy for what they were doing. You know, they wanted it a little more poppy sounding, which in the long run, you know, kind of hurt our feelings at first. You know, they didn't get us in Nashville, but Rounder Records out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, of all places, they got us because they were doing roots American music, you know, and they had a lot of bluegrass music, cowboy music. They had Riders in the Sky, Alison Krauss, George Thorogood, some really cool bands, so we were happy to be on there. And, you know, so there was one place in Nashville that we could kind of feel wanted, and that was Grand Ole Opry. We've done over 50 guest appearances there at the Grand Ole Opry over the years. So I thought, well, at least we have that. They want us. But they were more in Madison, Tennessee, you know, not Nashville proper. So I wrote a song called Nashville Never Wanted Me. Well, I'm a rogue. I'm a relic, sprouted from the head of Zeus. Just give me a banged up old guitar, and brother, turn me loose. I sing my song for the working folks out on the northern plains, 2,000 miles from Nashville, and that's where I'll remain. Nashville never wanted me, and Nashville never wanted me. I never wanted Nashville, and Nashville never wanted me. Well, now the golden days of Nashville, they're all but dead and gone. Back in 1957, them boys could write a song. But the well, it done got poisoned by the suits on Music Row. They sold their soul to the devil, trying to turn them records gold. Well, Nashville never wanted me, and Nashville never wanted me. But I never wanted Nashville, and Nashville never wanted me. I never had my face on the cover of a Billboard magazine. I never had 10,000 screaming fans. I never lived that rock and roll dream. I never owned a big old bus. I never toured the world in style. When I hit the road, it's a Chevy van, and I pay for every mile. Nashville never wanted me, and Nashville never wanted me. I never wanted Nashville, Nashville never wanted me. Well, now the book says the first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. Well, a curse can be a blessing, and a blessing be a curse. Well, now life is full of these mysteries that make no sense to me. I never wanted Nashville, and Nashville never wanted me. Hey, Nashville never wanted me. Yeah, Nashville never wanted me. I never wanted Nashville. Nashville never wanted me. Nashville never wanted me. Yeah, Nashville never wanted me. I never wanted Nashville. Nashville never wanted me. Thank you. All right. What a great crowd you guys. Thank you. Awful generous. I appreciate that. Makes that 3-hour drive worthwhile. They said this is my only gig today. That's not true. Columbia Falls, I'm going to hit the veterans home on the way back home. So they gave me a call and said, "Hey, would you come play for us? We have somebody who knows who you are and read that you were going to be in Kalispell." I said, "Absolutely." So we appreciate our veterans. All right. So this is a song. A good friend of mine is Paul Zarzyski. Any Paul Zarzyski fans? He's a poet, a great American poet. He lives north of Great Falls, and I get to write. I was lucky enough to get to write a few songs with Paul, and this was one of Paul's poems. And he said, "Hey, why don't you put some music behind it?" And I thought, "Yeah, I will." You know, in Montana, we love our landscape here. You know, it's one of the reasons we live here is because it's just beautiful every morning. We wake up and excuse me, we get to see the beautiful countryside, the beautiful sunrises, sunsets, mountains, the plains, the prairies, you know, the Badlands. Montana's a wonderful place, God's country. So he wrote this beautiful poem about the landscape of Montana. Used some Charlie Russell terminology, nature's people, and that's what Charlie called the animals, the fauna of our state. So this one's called Grace. In the soft, low light of pine, out where love has always thrived, and will forever yearn for the colorful hover, like brush strokes out of the west. We still want free life, we still want fresh air, out on the wild side. Out where the hills don't know my name, nature's people on the fly. Hear them sing their sweet refrain, as the millennia meander by. Like brushstrokes out of the west. As the millennia meander by, we still want free life, we still want fresh air. Out on the wild side, out where the hills don't know my name. Nature's people on the fly, hear them sing their sweet refrain. Hear them sing their sweet refrain. Thank you. All right, I'm going to do another kind of a ranchy song. Get this guitar tuned up here. And thank you guys for all coming out today. And let me sing my songs. Kind of an old guitar. Belonged to my grandfather, who passed it down to my father, who sold it to me for $50. Still making payments on it. All right. I'm going to do a song called Buck Up and Huck It, which was a saying of my dad's. If you don't know what buck up and huck it means, hopefully you will by the end of the song here. All right. Well, you're under duress. The place is a mess. The grizzly got into the old grain bin last night when you slept. Now there ain't much left, so you call the warden in. He tells you with a grin you got to file the proper paperwork before you set a trap. Just buck up and huck it if the bear comes back. Yodeling. Cows are out up on Highway 89. Someone left the gate open for the 17th time. Well, you saddle up your colt. He's a little bit green, acting kind of humpy lately, building up some steam. You kick him in the belly to gather up a cow. Got to buck up and huck it, 'cause you're dancing on the clouds. Yodeling. This is a verse about one of our neighbors. Of course, this is the neighbor that we can't talk to. That's all right. We all have neighbors we can't talk to. I found sometimes if you can't talk to them, you can always write a song about them. That's what I did. Well, it's 5 a.m. and the telephone rings. It's your neighbor to the west, just awakened from a dream. He says the steer you've been missing for the last 3 years is now grazing in his garden, nibbling on the ears of his grand prize corn. He starts in to bitching. You say, buck up and huck it, bub, your fence needs fixing. True story. Thank you. This one's called Raven on the Wind. I always consider it good medicine if I see a raven when I'm out on horseback or driving. It means it's going to be a good day. We wake up in the morning light. It's a brand new day. Lucifer is shining bright, showing us the way. Oh, showing us the way. Little Bay Mary's shaking her bit. She knows where they're hiding, weaving through the willows. Yeah, we be riding like a raven on the wind. Oh, oh, a raven on the wind. He's down. Sit back in your saddle. Yeah, we're gonna circle around, pick up them cattle. Oh, gonna pick them up, punch them up. Ducks flushing off the beaver ponds, wings sing rat-tat-tat-tat. Such a beautiful disruption. Lay back like a raven on the wind. Whoa, whoa, a raven on the wind. East Slope Revival, we roll to the swing and the sway. Unfold your tattered wings and let your soul slip away like a raven on the wind. A raven on the wind. Thank you. Well, all right, I got time for one last song. And back in 1996, there was a small internet company by the name of Yahoo, and they needed a yodeler of all things. And this is when I was when I was spending time down in L.A. I did a few commercials down there, national commercials for. They were doing car commercials and beer commercials, and apparently in that era, yodeling was popular in advertising. So I think I was the only guy in LA that yodeled, so I got a lot of gigs out of it. And it was really good for me because I was broke musician. And the wages for yodeling for national commercials was really good. We call it mailbox money, You yodel, and then a few months later, a big check comes in the mailbox. And for a little bit of yodeling, I thought that was a pretty good deal. And it just goes to show you, when I was growing up, my dad yodeled just whenever he was happy, out on horseback or up on big mountain. Every winter we went up to Whitefish and for a few days and skied over Christmas. And when he was at the top of the hill, he was a powder hound, and he would let out a big yodel if it was a good powder day. And so that's what kind of got me yodeling. I thought it was kind of cool. And also in junior high, it kept the girls away from me if I yodeled. So and when I got a little bit older, it attracted the girls to me for some reason. So I don't know how that works. But anyway, I thought, well, I'm going to, my claim to fame will be I'll have a 3-minute song on radio. But it was 3 notes for Yahoo that made me famous, and these are the 3 notes that I came up with. Yahoo! The only hit I've ever written. Yeah, so. Yep. So sometimes when you do weird things, they turn into wonderful things, so you never know. But yodeling's been good to me. And I still work for Yahoo every once in a while, and it's been kind of nice over the years working for them. So I came up with this yodel for Yahoo, and then I decided, well, I'll write a song about it. It's called The Yodeling Fool. Small town boy from Montana, he wore a red bandana with a guitar always close at hand. Led by his intuition, he had but one ambition: to become the greatest yodeler in the land. You can find him on the streets, in the alleys, and the bars, correcting and perfecting his tune. Now the townsfolk just laugh, turn their backs. He was the local yodeling fool. Well, now he practiced every day. He practiced every night. His songs seemed to be his only friend. One day he disappeared and them townsfolk cheered. Hurry, we'll never have to hear him again. No longer on the streets, in the alleys, and the barns could you hear his lonesome tune. For the boy had gone, taking with him his song of the local yodeling fool. One day Farmer Bill had his truck parked on the hill with his radio blaring across the town. Hey, who should he hear coming in so loud and clear? It was that local yodeling clown. It was heard up on the streets, in the alleys, and the bars, a voice that rang so true. Well, that lucky little duck, he made $1 million from that internet giant Yahoo. Thank you. What a wonderful crowd. Thanks for being so gracious. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right. I'll do another song. All right. I'm easy. I like to do encores. I'm going to do, so that was, told you a little bit about my yodeling, it's been really good to me, yodeling. Usually we have 23 albums out now over all these 3 decades that we've been around, and then part of what I do is I obviously tour. We're gone probably 2 weekends out of every month, and at my age, that's just about right, So we still perform quite a bit. But what's really good is commercials and TV shows have been using our music because we're just weird and quirky enough to where kind of fits for some of these shows. So, and it's usually a yodeling song. I think Montana Tourism used this. This was probably 20 years ago or so, but it was kind of a big feather in my cap that the state of Montana would use one of my songs. It's called the Big Sky Lullaby, and it's a different style of yodeling. My dad taught me the High Plains yodel, which is a kind of slow yodel, and it reflects the wide open spaces and the emptiness of our great country up north there on the High Line. This one's called the Big Sky Lullaby. Oh, thank you. All right, one last song. So I come from a rodeo culture as well as a ranching culture. My dad liked to rodeo, and I have a niece who loves to run barrels now, and Greta, and then she has a boyfriend, and so I wrote a song from his perspective and the song is called "Girlfriend is a Barrel Racer." Girlfriend is a barrel racer. Girlfriend is gone again. Girlfriend is a barrel racer. Well, I'm a chasing her, she's a chasing cans. Well, we're loading up her rig on a Wednesday night. She'll be rolling down the road before daylight. She got a 3-day jackpot out in Spokane. It'll be next week before I see her again. Girlfriend is a barrel racer. Girlfriend is gone again. Girlfriend is a barrel racer. I'm a chasing her, she's a chasing cans. Well, she smoked her old Dodge at the end of July. She had to borrow my brand new Chevy just to get her by. I got a call last night from south of Cheyenne. She's broke down on the side of the road. Here we go again. Girlfriend is a barrel racer. Girlfriend is gone again. Girlfriend is a barrel racer. I'm a chasing her. She's a chasing cans. I'm a chasing her. She's a chasing cans. All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a great weekend, all right? Don't forget to vote.